So my video for Rocky Road Brownies got accidentally very long, so I figured I would make a separate video showing you how to cut them up and also some tips on how to cut up really fudgy brownies. First tip for cutting through brownies easily is that I always line my baking pans with aluminum foil before putting in the brownie mix. It's the easiest preparation method ever, and all you have to do is coat your pan in aluminum foil. You don't have to grease it at all with butter or nonstick spray, and that way when the brownies are cool, all you have to do is easily lift the aluminum out of the pan, and then it gives you all this space to cut your brownies. You're not constricted by the walls of the baking pan, and it's also really easy cleanup. And the brownies won't stick to the aluminum foil at all. You just peel it back, and that will release the brownies from the aluminum foil. So tip number 2 is that you always want to let your brownies cool 100% before cutting them. I know that can be so hard when you're smelling the warm brownies in the oven and you're taking them out and saying now I have to wait hours for them to cool, but it really will help you tremendously in cutting your brownies if you allow them to cool 100% completely before attempting to cut them. A little side tip is that if you do want to cut through warm brownies, you can use a plastic knife. I've done it before. Plastic doesn't insulate heat the way that a metal knife will, so you will be able to cut through warm brownies with it, but it can be a little bit difficult to enjoy trying to pick them up, and brownies are really hot when you take them out of the oven, so you can burn yourself. So it's not recommended, but been there, done that. Back to our fudgy brownies. For cutting through fudgy brownies, after you've let them cool completely, you want to either go for one or two instruments. The first being a plastic knife. Plastic knife will cut through brownies really easily. And when I cut through, I use a little sawing motion going back and forth, and that's the easiest way that I find to cut through brownies. A plastic knife works really great, but we all don't have plastic knives, so if you don't have a plastic knife, then you want to get a very sharp, non-serrated knife. Then you want to take your knife and you're going to want to run it under hot water and then wipe off the water after your knife is all heated up with a paper towel. And then you can go to the brownies, and using that same little bit of a sawing motion can cut through your brownies really easily. And with the brownies, once you cut them into columns, you can just switch the pan over and cut into rows. So that's cutting up our fudgy brownies. But now let's talk about Rocky Road. For the Rocky Road brownies, I like to use a very long metal knife, again, non-serrated. I'm going to do similar to what I did for the other knife for the fudgy brownies. I'm going to run this knife under hot water, and as soon as it's hot, I'm going to clean off all that excess water. And now we're going to do something a little bit differently. Instead of going through in a sawing motion, I want to take this knife, line up where I'm going to cut, and then push the knife straight down. And I'm going to emphasize this again. Push the knife straight down. Don't try to go back and forth. Don't try and saw. The marshmallow is extremely sticky. Once you push down your knife, you can kind of wiggle it a little bit back and forth, and that loosens up the sides of the brownies. And then once I am able to, I just will take one column, one row of the brownies and move it to the side. Again, important, you don't want to push your brownies back together at this point. You really want to leave them separated because that marshmallow will stick together. Run your knife again under hot water and clean off all that marshmallow. Cut straight down. Don't try and saw, just straight down. And then you can wiggle the knife a little bit to release the sides. And then you can move that row that you just cut apart from the other brownies and make sure that all of your rows that you're cutting are separated. And when you're going to cut the rows into each individual brownie, what you want to do then is make sure again that you have a hot knife that's been cleaned off, and then you're going to cut through individually. Don't push the brownie rows back together and think that that will make it quicker to cut. All it's going to do is going to make all that marshmallow that you just cut stick back together, and it's going to be a disaster when you're trying to pull it apart. So you're just going to instead take each row and you're going to cut each brownie individually from each row. And you can just run through or cut the 4 brownies from each row, and then once you're done with the row, then I recommend cleaning off your knife again before going to the next row. And I like to have a plate or placemat or some sort of area where I can take the brownies after I've cut them, so that I don't have to worry about where they're going to go, because again, you don't want to push them back together at all because they will stick together. So those are my tips on how to cut fudgy brownies, as well as my Rocky Road brownies, really any brownie with marshmallow on top. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more of my recipes and baking videos and tips. And if you want to see more of my general baking adventures, you can follow me on social media. Thanks for watching!